we would just obey that one commandment of Jesus, that one commandment, think of the trouble we avoid. Think of the healings that would take place. It's a challenge to do that, but what do we tend to do? We, meaning in general. We mull over the hurt. We replay it in our mind. Resentment grows. Walls build up. It's much more difficult to reconcile when that happens. Or we gather allies to our side of the story who then agree with us. And of course, the other party looks worse off, or is worse. But in that simple statement, that little verse, Jesus is challenging us to take a different approach. Now, there's conflict in our lives. All the conflict. At home, at school, at work. It can be the sorry kids, rebellious teenager, or the obnoxious sibling, the distant spouse, the difficult in-law, the impossible to live with coworker. Could be the adult Catholic that's left the Catholic Church, tears your heart. And so what happens is, of course, often when we try to confront, conversation doesn't go anywhere, hurt feelings and anger. There has to be something else that's a better way. I think Christ is suggesting it, or at least from that we can build another way. I'm going to share an account, just one of my experiences in my pastoral ministry, about how perhaps to maybe break through the logjam and start moving a relationship back to wholeness. I was a staff person in a parish I was at before, and we met every week, talk about ministry. And she was very frustrated. Had a teenage daughter at Penn State, and one weekend, I mean she may be a junior, one weekend they didn't know where she was. As it turned out, she wasn't doing anything stupid, but she just didn't let them know where she was. Well, that upset the mother very much. So, mother's sitting there frustrated and telling me her anger. So I said, try something different. Try listening with no judgment attached. So perhaps you go tell your daughter, when there's a moment to do that, listen, there's something on if you want to say something, there's something bothering you about me, us, whatever, you can say it. I will not get angry, I promise. I will not get angry, I will not overreact. I said that, and of course my staff person said, you gotta be kidding me. So what do you have to lose? So sure enough, not that long later, long after, they're driving. The mother's driving, daughter's over here kind of sullen. So she says that to her daughter. Now, if there's something bothering you, you want to talk about it. When you're ready, talk about it, and I promise you I will not overreact or get angry. Nothing. We got home. About an hour later, the daughter approaches the mother. Now, I didn't know much happened after that, but I do know this, that the conversation took place. Apparently the mother kept her promise, didn't overreact, let the daughter say what's on her mind, what she's feeling. And the relationship began to move forward. Okay. So, had that not happened, more resentment, more walls. Risking, listening without judgment. Moved it forward. In the fourth step of the AA recovery process, there's a wonderful process everyone can benefit from. Everyone. Whether one's addicted or not, recovering or not. I said we're all recovering. It's handling resentments. There are 5 columns in this sheet you work with. In the first column you put down, whom am I resentful against? Against whom? Whom do I resent? You write a name. What did he or she do to me? What part of my ego was threatened? There were usually 3 categories. My self-esteem, prestige, self-worth, acceptability to society, status. That's one. Was that threatened? Or what that person did to me? Or emotional, financial security is another. The other one was my intimacy threatened? Husband-wife intimacy of friendship. So, status, emotional, financial security, intimacy. The fourth column is amazing. What did I do to contribute to the problem? That's mind-boggling, because we've gone from the person to whom I resent, this is what they did to me. Okay, this is what threatened. How did I contribute to this? We're moving away from the person against whom we have resentment and looking at ourselves. And then the last column, what are the defects of character? They suggest 4. Selfishness, self-centered, dishonest, fearful, inconsiderate. What a shift. We're talking about doing something rather different to deal with resentment and to build relationship again, bring in healing. And just so happens, with that list of what I've done, and one aspect of my defects of character, we're at work here, is the 9th step. You make amends. We've gone from resenting someone to saying, this is what I did. Please forgive me. It's very different. Great, thanks, Msgr Paul. Good psychology. Yes, it is good psychology. It's also very Christ-like. Christ-like and Christ-like. I have to be humble. I have to put the other person first. I have to be aware of my own weaknesses. Okay? Now, again, it doesn't mean that this is a relationship, if it's something really serious, it's going to all of a sudden be rosy, but it gets the conversation moving, gets the relationship off dead center, moving forward. Things are possible when we do that. Last week we heard in the gospel, Jesus says, "In which of my disciples you must deny your very self, pick up your cross, and follow me." To work on healing and to reconcile. I suggested a few ways, possibly tools that we discovered, and that's part of God's plan to help us. It involves dying to self. I gotta die to self. I have to. It's all about me. It's not about being only right or victorious or having the other person capitulate. You're right. I was wrong. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it doesn't. It's about restoration, healing of the relationship. Why does Jesus talk so much about forgiveness? It's always on his lips and in his heart. That's why he came. To reconcile us to one another and to the Father in heaven. He's the source. He's the power. His death and resurrection. And the Spirit released, the healing Spirit, the Spirit of love, in the Father and the Son. That's poured forth into our hearts, St. Paul says in Romans. At this altar, a few moments from now, we're going to celebrate his very death and resurrection, made present sacramentally, non-bloodily, but not sacramentally. Okay? We're going to be participating in our saving event, his death and resurrection, and receive him. So, to be healed. So, some of us, whatever we're dealing with, there are relationships that need to be healed. Okay? Lord, as you walk up, Lord Jesus, here's a relationship or two I really need to work on. I need courage. I need the right heart. I need prayer. I need to pray for the right heart, right words, receptivity, both in the person and myself. And as you receive Jesus, the Lord, grant me your power. May I see this person not as you see them, broken like I am, in need of your love like I am. That can make a big difference. It gives God room to work.